Hey everybody, welcome back to Kicking in the Second Half, KISH YZ. We got another podcast for you. This is episode 22, freeze frame of the Eastern Conference, where we're going to talk about the East standings as they are of today. Today is April 26th, Monday, April 26th, 2021. Yesterday I did the West Coast. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or anchor.fm, wherever you're finding our audio only version of the podcast, sorry, the way I recorded episode 21, I didn't extract the audio file. So it's only on video format. So check out our YouTube page to watch episode 21. Again, sorry about that. But yeah, let's get into this. Once again, I'm your host, D, and I'm back again with my co-host, Hugh. What up, Hugh?
Hey, how's everybody doing?
I'm glad to have you back on here. And yeah, like I said, this is just going to be, what's that, Hugh?
I said appreciate it.
We're going to just jump into, I want to give you all a quick rundown of the standings of the East. I'm going to do 1 through 10. I'm going to just start off with 1 through 10. I can mention the bottom 5. There's a couple teams that are close, so maybe I'll mention the way I'm looking at it now, just the top 12. It doesn't look like nobody's quite officially eliminated yet, but we could probably roll out the Detroit Pistons for sure and the Orlando Magic. There's only about like a dozen games left for the regular season, so but anything can happen, but I'm just going to keep those teams out. So number 1, the Brooklyn Nets. Number 2, Philadelphia 76ers. They're 1 game behind the Nets. Number 3, the Milwaukee Bucks, 3.5 games behind the Nets. The New York Knicks, number 4, 7.5 games back. So there's a 4-game gap between 3rd and 4th place there. 5th, Atlanta Hawks, 7.5 games back from the Nets. So the same as the New York Knicks, but I assume the New York Knicks, what's it look like? They hold the tiebreaker because they have the same record and win percentage. Coming in at number 6, the Boston Celtics, 9 games back behind the Brooklyn Nets. And going into what would be the potential play-in spots, number 7, the Miami Heat, 9.5 games back, so only half a game from Boston as far as potentially moving up in the 6th spot. 8 is the Charlotte Hornets at 10.5 games back behind the Brooklyn Nets. Indiana Pacers, 11.5 games back, sitting at number 9. And number 10, the Wizards, Washington Wizards, 14 games back. And like I said, I'll just go ahead and round this off with some teams that are close. Obviously, right now, we're going to focus on 1 through 10. Like I said, that's the whole point of this, is to freeze frame it. But just to throw this out there, the Chicago Bulls are sitting at number 11th, 15 games behind the Brooklyn Nets, which is just 1 game behind the Wizards. The Toronto Raptors, also 15 games back behind the Nets. So they're right there as well with the same record as the Chicago Bulls, same win percentage there. And like I said, just and the Cleveland Cavaliers, they're 20 games back, 5 games behind the Chicago Bulls and the Toronto Raptors, sitting at number 13. So we'll just go ahead and eliminate them as well. But yeah, let's just focus on 1 through 10, Hugh. Any injuries out there that kind of stand out to you? Because that's what I did in the last podcast, was just talk about, well, the West was so loaded with different injuries that could greatly affect how those teams would perform. Some of those teams are sustaining, and like I mentioned, like Donovan Mitchell, obviously, with his injury that he's dealing with, Jamal Murray with the Denver Nuggets, Kawhi Leonard sitting out, LeBron James hasn't returned yet, Anthony Davis just returned. So there's a lot going on over there. Do you see a lot going on over here in the East? I think you just said earlier to me today that Ben Simmons did make his return back to the 76ers lineup.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably not as many injuries in the East that they're dealing with in the West, but I mean, you still have some big ones. I mean, obviously you have, James Harden still out. That's a big one. You go down, you look at Atlanta. Trae Young's out right now. He's not playing. Hornets, LaMelo Ball out, and even 9. Sabonis hasn't came back yet, right? So I believe he's still out for Indiana.
Yeah, I think Sabonis is out and Miles Turner is still out, I think, too.
Yeah, I forgot about Miles Turner. So yeah, I mean, there's some injuries, but I don't think it's as the magnitude as they all are in the West. But yeah, definitely can affect some standings and positioning towards the end.
Yeah, so like you said, with the Indiana Pacers already in the playoff spot, so that's going to be tough. Like I said, if we were talking about them not being there when the playoffs do start, then they could probably not make the playoffs. And then Atlanta, hopefully, Trey Young, I think it was like a high ankle sprain or something to that extent. So he should be returning to the lineup by the time the playoffs would actually start, I would assume. And they'll probably be okay in the playoffs. So let's just assume he's healthy for the playoff coming up, as if, they were to start today, which would be in a couple weeks. I know that sounds weird to say because I'm saying starting now, but I'm wanting to talk about the standings now. But obviously, the playoffs would be started in about 3 weeks from now. I think May 22nd is the start of the playoff season. So yeah, Hugh. All right, let's get into the play-in round since there's not really a lot of injuries to talk about outside what you just mentioned. So the play-in round. So once again, just to reiterate to people how this works, the play-in round is the 7th and 8th seed are going to play each other one game. So whoever wins that game becomes the 7th seed. Whoever loses that game gets another opportunity to become the 8th seed. And the way they do that, they have to win the next game. So that would be round 2. The other part of round 1 is the 9th versus 10th seed playing each other. And the loser of that game, they're out of the playoffs. The winner of that game advances to round 2 versus the loser of the round 1, 7 versus 8 matchup. So the winner of that game there in round 2 becomes the 8th seed. But here, I want to stick in a quick plug. Shout out to all our subscribers that have recently subscribed and the ones that are still holding it down with us. Give us a like if you like our videos, or thumbs up, obviously. And yeah, definitely keep subscribing. I want to let everybody know, remind them that April is Limb Loss Awareness Month. And in support of that, I'm donating $1 for every subscriber that we had by the end of the month. On May 1st is when I'll be doing that donation, which is Saturday. So if we can get some more subs in before then, be greatly appreciated to help support our channel and also help to support Limb Loss Awareness Month. And I will be donating to the Limbs for Life Foundation at limbsforlife.org. So if you would like to donate yourself personally, you can donate there at limbsforlife.org. But yeah, also just, about our podcast here, you can find us on Spotify and anchor.fm. But, here on our YouTube channel, they can also find like our PPFs, our debates, obviously the podcast videos here, and some other cool concepts that we're coming up with. And, obviously the shoes, I've done a lot of shoes over the past week. I felt like last week was like shoes week. So, did some unboxing there and some reviews. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, like you just said, yeah, shout out all our subs. We appreciate each and every one of you holding it down, watching the videos, giving us likes. But yeah, if you're watching this video and you're not subbed and you like our content, you want to see more, you want to see something a different kind of episode, maybe like a debate or a shoes episode like D just touched on, be sure to give me a sub. No tomatoes.
Yeah, don't like the veggies. Speaking of the veggies, Hugh, let's get straight to the meats.
There we go.
That
I
sounds
like
weird.
that.
Hey, yeah, let's
I
get
see
into
what
the
you're doing.
play-in tournament. Huh?
I see what you were going with.
Let's get into the play-in tournament. Let's start off with both of the round 1 matchups as if the standings stood today for the playoffs. So you're looking at the 7th seed versus the 8th seed in the East. That would be Miami with the home court advantage versus the Charlotte Hornets. Who do you see winning that game?
Miami Heat.
Miami Heat all the way. And just like I said, to reiterate, this format, it's single game elimination. So, this is almost like that football type of feel when it comes to playoffs. Just, if you have a bad game, you slip up, there's no going back. So you put it all on the line just to get in. And yeah, anything can happen. But yeah, I would also choose the Miami Heat. So by us choosing that, they become the 7th seed there. So they're locked in that place, which Charlotte would automatically advance to the second round. And again, they would have to win the second round to become the 8th spot. But let's look at the other half of the first round, the 9th versus the 10th seed. So Indiana at 9 with the home court advantage versus the Washington Wizards at 10. Who you got, Hugh?
So this one was a tough one. I really wanted to pick Indiana, but man, the way the Wizards have been playing lately, I had to go with Washington. They've just been playing winning ball. Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal are playing well together, and Indiana, like we just touched on, has a lot of injury concerns, and who knows if those guys will be back come playoff time. So yeah, give me Washington.
Yeah, I'm taking Washington too. I'm repping Washington, trying to keep it a little local for us, and big supporter of Russell Westbrook. Yeah, and what they're doing out there in Washington and how they're playing, and they have some experienced guys when it comes to playoffs between Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook himself. So I will take Washington as well. I don't see why they would lose this if they're all healthy as far as going into their playoffs where they're at now with the health that they have now currently versus what Indiana might be missing, like we talked about. Sabonis should be coming back at some point, but if Miles Turner is still hurt as well, you're losing some of what built your team early on in the season. So yeah, give me the Wizards too. So now Indiana's out, right? So
Yep.
they're going fishing. Cast the line. And the Washington Wizards are moving on to the second round. So they're matching up with the Charlotte Hornets now. And Charlotte, obviously, with them being the 8th seed, has the home court advantage. Who do you have winning that game, which will ultimately make them the 8th seed in the East going into the playoffs?
This one was easier than the last game, but I got Washington again for the
Hey,
same
bro,
reasons.
I'm going to stick with that. I'm a roll
Yeah.
because we've seen it this regular season where we kind of touched base at the beginning of the second half of the season. We talked about, man, the Wizards look like they're falling off. Like wasn't what we expected to see when they traded for Russell Westbrook. Like we expected to see more fire. And yeah, if the Wizards can get on the roll here, winning that first game, turning around, still being underdogs, and winning another game basically 2 days later, I'm sure there would be a gap in the games. So like May 18th, followed by May 21st would be my assumption as far as when they would play that second game. But yeah, Wizards are underdogs in both rounds. I would take the Wizards. So that makes them the 8th spot. And like we said, the Miami Heat becomes the 7th seed. So let's roll with that assumption. And I like to start in the middle and work my way up to the top. So let's start in the middle, 4 versus 5. So as of right now, we got the Knicks versus the Hawks. What do you think of that matchup? Is that intriguing there? That is very intriguing to
That's
me
very
because
intriguing to me.
these are both two teams that did not make the playoffs last year. They didn't make it. And they're right there in the middle. Like they're kind of, I think the Hawks might be kind of where I thought they would be. If I was doing a prediction at the very beginning of the season, like, okay, they're a playoff team. They should be somewhere in the middle, definitely at least at the bottom, but they're definitely playing team. The Knicks, very surprising. Like I said, if you're a big New York Knicks fan, of course you want to see them win all the time. But yeah, the Knicks are stunning to me as far as where they're ending up. But with the 4th seed, they'd have home court advantage in Madison Square Garden. That's against an upcoming Knicks Hawks team. And we know that Mitchell Robinson is out, but I think he might be on the verge of potentially returning at the very end of the regular season, maybe the beginning of the playoffs. Don't know how his condition and everything would be. Maybe he gets a couple minutes in here and there. And when it comes to the playoffs, they can utilize him some. But with the pieces they have and home court advantage and Julius Randle being an all-star, first-time all-star, I mean, I think that they have a lot of things going on there for them. But with Trae Young being on a bigger stage, first time being in the playoffs in his young career, I think that might be exciting for him, especially if he's playing in MSG. Guys like to perform at MSG is just historical value there for players to be able to do that. So that gives him motivation there. And you talk about Capella, who has playoff experience with being on the James Harden Rockets teams from back in the day. And John Collins might be somebody to look at. And they also have Bogdanovich. No, they didn't make the playoffs last year with the Sacramento Kings. Gallinari, he's another guy that has some playoff experience. And you have Lou Williams. So you got some guys there that can kind of balance that out for you. Like that's going to be interesting, man. I just want to throw these out there. I'm not sure if I'm persuading your decision as far as who you're picking one way or the other, but let me ask you, who you got, or are there any reasons and your thought process of why you picked them?
Yeah. So I will say that I think this this matchup is extremely intriguing. Like you said, two young teams, two teams ready to prove themselves. Yeah, everybody kind of expected Atlanta to make the playoffs mid-season. But yeah, shout out the Knicks, man. Huge surprise there. So I'm sure everybody around the Knicks organization and fan base is hyped for them. So shout out them. But I see this series. I see it being a 7-game series personally, and I could see it going either way, to be honest. But I'm gonna have to lean towards Atlanta, just for a few reasons you touched on. I mean, Trae Young is a baller. John Collins, we're both high on John Collins now. I know Julius Randle is going crazy. But I mean, the Hawks also got Capella. DeAndre Hunter hopefully should be back then. You got Bogdanovich, who went off last night, being the main guy when Trae Young was out. So I just mean they have a lot of pieces in Atlanta. And if healthy, I just mean that team is scary. We saw what happened after the All-Star break when Nate McMillan took over and they won all those games in a row. But I just yeah, I really wanted to pick the Knicks. This game actually, it took me a little bit to think of who I thought was going to win, but I'm going to have to lean Atlanta just from talent wise. I think they got a little more of an upper hand than the Knicks.
I like
Total
what you
team wise.
mentioned. I like what you mentioned there about it going to like a 7-game series. And just to touch on that and add to it, I would say that a lot of these games that we would see between these two teams should be high scoring because of the way they like to run their offense. Like 110 and above for each game, as far as average score for each team there. I guess that'd be like a 220 total for under and over. But yeah, I would agree. I would agree with you as far as it being 7 games. I kind of want to lean towards the Knicks. I'm not trying to make this a debate or anything. I could see how it can easily be the Hawks as well. I'm going to lean a little bit more towards the Knicks just because they're right in that raw energy that they have of being the underdog through the season and just New York Knicks fans and Julius Randle playing the way he's playing and Coach Tom Thibodeau there and D Rose. I'm just going to give the nod to the Knicks, but I would agree on the 7-game series. So either way, it's kind of like a coin flip for me. And I'm sure that's kind of what you're getting at there. So I would say coin flip, that's your winner, but I'll take the Knicks in this one. But yeah, let's not dwell on this because it's not official. We'll get to that. If this does become a matchup, we're going to do videos down the road for our podcast when it comes time for playoffs. We're going to have to crunch it in and break down each round of matchups once more in greater detail. But let's go to 3 versus 6 here. So number 3, Bucks. Number 6, the Celtics. You want to start this one off?
I
can start
say
it off.
you go ahead.
Okay, I don't know if I have a lot to say like I did with the Knicks and the Hawks because I thought that was a more interesting lineup. But I guess this is an interesting lineup because if I was looking at this at the beginning of the season, I would say, why would this be a first round matchup, 3 versus 6? Like I would expect Celtics to be in the top 4 if I was predicting the end of the regular season at the beginning of the season. But to see the Celtics at 6 and facing a Bucks team at number 3, they both have something that they need to prove because the Celtics came up short last year in the playoffs, in my opinion. Like you could see that they're a trying team. They should be better. So you hope that they do better than next year. But with them being in the 6th spot and playing the Bucks, that's going to be rough. And obviously the Bucks got upset. They lost to the Miami Heat last year. Nobody was expecting that. So they have to win this. Like if you're a Milwaukee Bucks fan, I'm sure you're thinking like, we have to win this, but this is probably going to be a tough matchup. I'm going to say 6 games Bucks for this, in my opinion, just because the Bucks have to win this. You have Drew Holiday, who's a specialist. Heck, maybe having Drew Holiday would actually put them at 5 games. They can win it in 5, but I don't want to doubt the talent that the Celtics have and that drive and passion of playing hard-nosed defense when it comes to players like Marcus Smart backing up what the Celtics do as far as an identity on defense and or offense. But I'm just going to stick with the Bucks in 6 games.
Okay. Yeah, I got the Bucks winning too, but I got it in 5. So not too much disagreement there. I mean, the Celtics, they're an amazing, talented team. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker, those guys. But I mean, what we've been talking about all year about not having size, not having even a decent big man, trading away actually one that was starting at the time with Tice. But that's going to be their Achilles heel, in my opinion. They're going to match up with Giannis in a 7-game series. I think he's just going to run all over him. I think even Brook Lopez is going to have a field day against him, to be honest. I mean, we're going to see him, looking like he's elite again. But yeah, so I just have the Bucks in 5. Drew Holiday, big pickup there. I just think the Bucks defense is great. Chris Middleton, they got a lot of guys who can ball there. So I don't see. I hate to do it. I want to say 6, but I mean, I don't have faith in the Celtics. They've been pretty much disappointing all season. And yeah, like you touched on, they should be higher. But yeah, I mean, Giannis, I just think he's going to run all over him pretty much. And yeah, if everybody stays healthy and whatnot, I think the Bucks can get it done in 5 games.
So to unfreeze this frame, the Celtics need to try to get into that 5th spot and match up with the Knicks, and that will probably be a better first round matchup in my opinion for them. But let's freeze it back. So we have the Bucks in 5 or 6 games, but either way, we both have the Bucks moving on. So let's go to 2 versus 7. So 2, that was the 76ers, so they have home court, and 7, based off what we predicted what would happen in the play-in tournament, the Miami Heat would win that first game and they would be the 7th seed. So now you have the Sixers versus Miami. A little bit of a storyline there because that was Jimmy Butler's former team and he went to Miami, and last year they were a big underdog all the way through the playoffs, basically, maybe except the first round, but I would say all through the whole playoffs, and they wound up making it to the finals and pushing the Lakers to 6 games. So with that being said, the Sixers were my favorites to come out of the East in general as far as the whole East, but we're just focused on the first round. So if I'm staying true to what I said before, and hopefully Simmons playing, I'm going to have to take the 76ers just because of I'm trying to stick to what I said before. So I can't take the Heat just because of what I've said with my statements, but this is going to be a tough matchup because we know what the Heat are capable of. And that's like the unawareness part there. Like we're unaware of that. The Miami Heat are just that good when it comes to defense and grinding. So this could be easily a stretched out series where the Miami Heat could possibly get some type of advantage, maybe taking away a home court game from the 76ers and using that momentum and definitely pushing for 7 games if I'm being realistic. And there is a chance it could advance, but like I said, I have to stick with my statement. So I'm going to say the Sixers. And I would say, man, if the Miami Heat's healthy and the 76ers are healthy, this could still be a 7-game series. So I would have to say this is going to be tough for the Sixers, even if Miami's not playing all the best when it comes to playoffs. I don't doubt the motivation of Jimmy Butler and then what Bam could do and their 3-point shooting if they're hitting. So like I said, the Sixers definitely have to be ready, but I'll go ahead and say Sixers in 6 because I'm going to give that extra game knocked off because of the 76ers having Doc Rivers. So my guess is Sixers win this in 6 games.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. I got a Sixers in 6 games as well. But yeah, this is just what I want to say about this. Do not underestimate Miami. We saw what happened last season. Everybody underestimated them. They were the underdogs, and they went to the finals when no one expected it. So yeah, we know how gritty they are. We know how they play in South Beach. We know what they're about. We know how Jimmy Butler, his intensity in the playoffs. We know all that stuff. So yeah, anybody who thinks this is going to be an easy series for the 76ers is thinking wrong. I wouldn't be surprised. This might be Philly's hardest matchup in the whole, you got them, let's just say Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, this might be the hardest matchup they have. I mean, for all I know, I mean, Miami is not a team to play around with. And while I will give the nod to Philly just because, their talent and what they got, I mean, I love to see a Bam, Embiid. I love to see them go at each other for a 7-game series. I think that'd be intriguing and fun to watch. Both players are playing excellent basketball this year. But yeah, man, I mean, Miami, I hate to pick against them. I'd love to see them win. That'd be a huge upset, but I don't personally think it's going to happen. But yeah, man, Miami. Anyone who thinks it's an easy series, easy win for the Sixers, hasn't been watching Miami play basketball. They don't know what Jimmy Butler's about. They don't know what happened in the playoffs last year. But anyone who watches basketball, they should know, man, that the Sixers going to have to work hard here. Or, if not, we could possibly see an upset. But yeah, I got Sixers in 6 as well, D.
Speaking of working hard and not being an easy series, let's go through the 1 versus 8, the Nets versus Wizards. The Nets are going to have to work hard, bro. You agree or disagree?
Yeah, I agree to some extent. Yeah, they have to play good defense.
Yeah, you definitely have to play defense because the Brooklyn Nets are going to rely on the offense. I think ultimately they do advance, but I don't want to sleep on the enthusiasm of Russell Westbrook in the playoffs, and just who knows what hits he can get into if the big 3 are playing. Like that's just the dynamic I've been focused on all season when it comes to the playoffs with Brooklyn Nets. It's not the talent, it's the personalities, and how is that going to translate during the game time on the court and off of the court. If Russell Westbrook could trigger something, where he can break into their mental a little bit, that could lead to some breakdowns, which would extend the series further out than what you would think. The Nets might take this into what might look like as a sweep for the Nets to a 6-game series for the Nets if they're not careful. You get the Wizards back at home. If for some odd reason they get some momentum on the road to start off the series, even if they lose in a tough loss and then they come back home and win their first home game, then there's some momentum there. But there's going to be times where the Wizards are just going to look like they're missing a piece. Some of their guys are just way too young versus the talent and the experience of the Nets. So I don't think a lot of the Nets problems are going to be, as far as their flaws, I don't think they're going to be exposed until later on. But just looking at this first round, I'm just going to, since we're talking about the Wizards tonight, I don't want to say the Wizards are going to win this series, but I will give the Wizards pushing the Nets to 6 games here, and the Nets ultimately winning this. But weird things have happened with the Nets where Kyrie misses time, James Harden's re-aggravated his hamstring, and Kevin Durant seems like he's healthy and balling. So as long as nothing happens to him during the playoffs or right before the playoff starts, then we can assume that they'll be good. But there's just too many variables there. So I just want to say 6 games. Now, granted, their best strategy, in my opinion, would be for them to just play 2 players at a time in the big 3. Game 1, James Harden and Kyrie Irving. Game 2, James Harden and Kevin Durant. Game 3, Irving and Durant, and then rotate it back around.
Yeah, that ain't a bad strategy there. But I was thinking 6 games for this series, but then I said, you know what? I'm gonna change it to 5, and I'm gonna change it to 5, and for good reason. I feel.
You know what? I'm shocked that you didn't say sweep. To be honest, I thought you were gonna flat out sweep it.
Nah, I mean, bro, Bradley Beal, he's pretty nasty. But the reason I put 5 instead of 6 is because I see this happening, right? I see the Nets getting out, but whooping up on them.
Let's
maybe
make
take the first couple games, maybe something like that, and then I see Russell Westbrook getting in his feelings a little bit. I'll be like, man, these are my 2 former teammates, and then they join back up, and they don't want me. They get Kyrie, and then it's back into wall. They're losing games, and we get back to the Russ that I know and I don't like very much, where he just starts shooting up 40 shots a game and making 12 of them. So right now they're winning games because he's not shooting that much. I mean, he's not really scoring over 20 points here lately. I don't think
this is Russ though. You get the full package from Russ. You get to go in the bad. You just need something to counter that and hold him accountable. Maybe Bradley Beal would kind of keep him in check a little bit.
I mean, yeah, it could easily happen. Or I could see it going off the other way. You talk about him getting in the heads of the Nets players. I see maybe him getting in his feelings slightly. Be like, man, look at them. They join back up without me. They rather have Kyrie than me. I'm better than Kyrie. Why would they rather have him than me? And then
look, we got to hype this series up.
35, 40 shots a game.
We got to hype this series up because this is a very near possibility that this is going to happen. The Nets stay number 1 and the Wizards get in the 10th spot, stay in the 10th spot or wherever they're going to end up at and win the play-in and become 8th. Like, this is serious right here, what we're talking about. And yeah, I hear what you're saying because that can very well happen where he gets in his feelings. But let's go past this because I've said before off camera that if this thing crumbles with the Nets, let's say the Nets lose in the second round or something, what if they try to trade for Westbrook, Kyrie for Westbrook? Just go ahead and put them back together like it was OKC, man. If you're going to have that big personality and you're more mature now and you could work things out, but he's still going to hold the players accountable, and then he, possibly get held accountable by Durant or Harden. Like, this could work. This could work if it doesn't work this year. Like, it could work next year if it doesn't work this year. Might as well just try another experiment. But
I wouldn't like that, to be honest.
You wouldn't like that.
No.
It's okay. You don't have to like it. Not a lot of people are rooting for the Nets, apparently. Well, no,
yeah, I think Harden and KD could be fine, just them two, and then just like let them put more of your money into it for your like guys off the bench.
What are you gonna do?
Like
just
that.
Trade Kyrie for like a big guy, get Jared Allen back, send Kyrie back to Cleveland?
Well, I'd get some role players.
Trade Kyrie
like
for Vucevic.
A big guy would help, like another big guy with Aldridge going now, and then some good solid depth guys. And I would
trade Kyrie for Vucevic to the Bulls, and maybe throw in marketing.
Yeah, okay. See, I would do it. if they lose, if they don't win the finals, and this
But
year,
they want
I
that
would
big
do it.
three, though. They want that big three, bro.
Well, Vucevic can be the third.
Russell Westbrook could be the third.
Yeah, well, if it didn't happen with Kyrie, what's going to be so different with there? I mean, it might be like when they're on the court together, they're going crazy, and then when they're off the court, their bench can't keep up with nobody. So I mean, like it happened with the Warriors, they're like, starting lineup was fire, was the greatest we've ever seen. And then the bench came in. It's just like, man, they,
I guess the only
that's what their
difference would
Achilles
be
heel.
that if they did this, then I'd probably root for them. That's probably why. You asked. You asked.
Fair enough.
That's the difference. So I have respect for Kyrie though as a player, but Russell Westbrook is it's Russ. But yeah, looking at this series, let me ask you real quick, because this, like I said, this is such a potential series to really happen. Who averages the most points per game in the series between the two teams?
Bradley Beal.
Okay. I was going to say Bradley Beal too, but I didn't know if you were feeling like Harden or Durant.
Nah, I mean those guys. I feel like Harden one. I mean Durant one game will have 30. The next game Harden will have 30. Like I feel like that all those guys can switch. But we know what it looks like when Russ is taking most of shots for Washington or for any team. It don't go very well for him. But yeah, so Bradley Beal, you just let him pull him up, and to even
I
be
mean, do you
even
think
close,
Bradley's
I'd
going to be
say
able to get
Bradley
that
Beal.
off like that though?
I mean, Brooklyn, man, one thing they get talked about is not having great defense. So I mean, they need to tighten that up. But I mean, if they play off him a little bit, I can see him, averaging 30 some this series. He's gonna have to. If this potential series to even keep it close, in my opinion, because I mean, we all know that Brooklyn's gonna score, 120 probably plus points a game, if they want. So the Wizards gonna have to try to match it as best they can. And I think Bradley Beal's gonna be the best hope for that.
So if the Wizards are able to make it this far and they're able to win at least one game, is that a successful season for the Wizards? Like,
I would say so, bro.
Do we make that narrative after them not making the playoffs the last couple of seasons? Like, hey, you got Russell Westbrook and you made the playoffs, but you lost against this team.
I mean, yeah, I would say success. I mean, I feel like Wizards fans should too. I remember, bro, it was during All-Star break, and we got on here, me, you, and your bud, and we called their organization a joke and their front office a joke, and how they need to fire all of them, and about how they've lost hope for the season. And look at them now; they proved me wrong. I ain't gonna lie, I'm shocked with their second half turnaround, and I just think a lot of it's. I don't think much has changed besides Russell Westbrook.
I think
I don't think he's
I think
shooting
it's
as much. But
accountability. I think Bradley had to talk with Russ, man. That has to be the key. If Russ is not jacking up as many shots, like you said, he can revert to that at any time. We've seen it before it happened, but if he's not jacking up as many shots, but he was before, and now they're winning games, like something has changed there with the mindset going into these games where they're able to pull off these wins. And some of these wins are like quality wins against tough teams.
yeah,
Like that's why
yeah,
we're
I
not
mean,
saying sweep here, obviously.
yeah, that's
If they
why
were
if I
playing like
was
they did before the All-Star break, we'd probably say sweep, no doubt. Or
no,
the Wizards probably wouldn't even be this far. They wouldn't be a
yeah,
playoff team. Like lose in the playoff tournament or
yeah,
not
man.
make it.
If I'm the Wizards, I'd much rather, Russell Westbrook score 11, 12 points a game, but, have a triple double or, a bunch of assists than,
Oh, whoa! Don't
scoring 30
Draymond him,
points a
bro.
game, but
Don't
shooting
don't
30
Draymond
shots to get it.
Russ. Don't
Well, no, I'm
Draymond
just saying.
Russ.
No, I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
No,
so
no, I
yeah, I feel
understand.
like that's the biggest thing to happen because, Russ wasn't put, unless I'm crazy and not remember correctly, Russ wasn't putting up all these triple doubles earlier. I think he was taking a lot more shots earlier and they weren't
Right.
winning games. But yeah, it looks like somebody had to talk with him. And now he's just like, you know what? I'm going to put up, 10, 12 shots a game. And besides that, if you open, you get in the ball and it's
I mean,
working.
that's the thing about him too. Like when he's able to get other players involved, there's playmaking and passing ability, especially since they have perimeter shooters there in Washington. That's what's going to be key for them to win some of these games, especially going into the play-in tournament and then potentially the matchup against the Nets. And then that's the thing that also the Nets need to work on is getting their bench and their other role players involved during the game and not just really focus on the big three. Like this is a tough matchup. We need to make sure we feed our guys and win these games, but you need to get the other guys involved. So when they're called upon, they're warmed up, like they're not cold or out of the game where, the big three is having an off game and it's not, they can't pull enough weight. Like if one of the three is trying, but the other two just can't hit or something happens, you need those other guys ready, and then they need to be ready quick and off the bench. In some cases, some of the starters are like Joe Harris. Definitely got to keep the shooter shooting.
All right, my boy will be ready. Don't worry.
He'll be ready to be traded with Kyrie if this doesn't work out.
I don't even know if it's man.
I mean, I'm not lying here.
That caught me off guard,
People,
eh?
if you're watching this, or if this is in the future and this has happened in the bad way, and we're looking at the Clippers, and we're like, the Clippers are now, or maybe I should say, the Nets are now the new Clippers from last season, and they're like, man, Russell Westbrook, not Russell Westbrook specifically, but I just wanted to throw that out there. But Kyrie Irving is being traded out of the big three. Like, breaking news in the middle of the summer. You heard it here first, but I've said it to you before. If this thing doesn't work out with the Nets, not to go past this first round, but if the thing doesn't work out with the Nets, they got to point the blame at somebody. I don't know how much they're going to point the blame at Steve Kerr, because he is a first-time coach, and they've stated they don't need a coach.
Bro,
I'm just going to say they're going to point it. They're going to point it at. They're going to point it.
You said Steve Kerr. Keep his name out
what
of your
did I
mouth.
mean? Steve Nash.
Yeah.
You might as well blame Steve Kerr, because that's what Kevin Durant would probably do. He'd probably blame Steve Kerr. Oh, man, this is some Golden State stuff. I want to blame Steve Kerr. Get him out of here. He was never in here.
He was never in here.
Get rid of both of the Steves. Well, technically, Steve Nash, the last organization he was a part of was the Warriors. So you could kind of blame him for maybe picking up some stuff from Steve Kerr. So indirectly, Steve Kerr was involved in Steve Nash's bad coaching decision, is what they're going to blame it on. But ultimately, it's probably going to be Kyrie who's going to need to be taken care of.
Fair enough. That's an
Y'all want
interesting, very interesting take there. Kyrie? No. What would he play?
Y'all had D'Angelo Russell at one point, so you could take Kyrie.
We had him when Clay was out.
Clay can play small forward. You can have Kyrie. Hey,
For
the
what?
Nets are probably going to be in need of a big man if this doesn't work out. Just give them your first round pick, big man, and something else. Kelly Oubre. I know you're big on him.
I'm growing into liking Kelly Oubre.
Hey, man, I like Kelly Oubre. I was a fan of his when he was playing for the Wizards, bro. Like, he was one of my favorite Wizards players, even though he was coming off the bench back then. I had thought, mark my word, well, I can't mark my words because it's the past, but I had thought back in the day that the Wizards made a mistake. They started going downhill when they decided to extend a big contract to Otto Porter Jr. They should have traded him for any value they can get for him and start developing Kelly Oubre. If they had done that, in my opinion, the Wizards would still have been in a great spot, even with John Wall minus the injuries. They still would have been looking good, because you would have gotten something back for Otto Porter Jr., but you would have had Kelly Oubre. I mean, yeah, you see where he's at now. He's not an all-star caliber player. Could he have been? Maybe on the Wizards team, he would look like, okay, maybe this guy could potentially be an all-star player, because, I mean, he could shoot when he gets his rhythm going. I think it was just hard for him to adapt to the pace and how open that Steph Curry gets you for the Warriors. So I don't want to say it's completely his fault as far as the way he was playing at the beginning of the season, but I liked him on that Wizards team. I thought they literally could have been like somewhat of forming a big three, not the super caliber big three that we see with the Nets, but John Wall, Bradley Beal, and Kelly Oubre Jr. Man, I love that, bro. Like, I kind of miss that, but that was the past now, so we got to move on from that. But yeah, y'all can have Kyrie though, for real.
I'm good. Speaking of Kelly Oubre, recently I read an article. It was of the 10 most handsome NBA players. They had Kelly Oubre first.
You want to mention that on here? Kelly Oubre is a model, bro.
Actually, I think it was a TikTok. It was a TikTok. Some girl posted like her top 10, and Kelly Oubre was first. And I was like, man, I ain't never really noticed, but he's a handsome fella.
He's a model.
I could see it.
He's a fashionista too. He likes to support fashion. Hey,
shout
who's
out,
got the better drip?
Hey, shout out cousin Fred. Shout out cousin Fred. He was the one that first mentioned to me that Oubre was handsome. What? Who has a better drip?
Yeah, who has a better drip? Is it Kelly Oubre or is it Russell Westbrook?
Man, didn't Russell Westbrook wear like a traffic cone or something with him?
What do you think Kelly Oubre wears?
Give me Ubre. Give me Ubre.
All right. Give me Russ.
I feel you.
Should I chime in on what you said? Yeah, Kelly Oubre's a handsome fella. Shout out to Kelly Oubre.
Yeah. Yeah, for real. Should I not have brought that up or something? I mean, we were just talking about the dude.
I don't care if you bring it up. I wasn't expecting that. I didn't know that y'all had that conversation. And I mean, I don't care that you bring that up. I just wasn't expecting it. Top 10.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and give us a rundown of the other 9?
I can't remember the other. Kuzma was on it. I didn't like that one at all.
You're a big Kuzma fan. Was Jamal Murray on that? Because you like Jamal Murray.
No. I can't remember who all was on it. I didn't even know half of them. Well, no, I knew them all. But 2 were
Lizzo
like
likes Karl
guys.
Anthony Towns. Was he on that?
Yes, he does. Nah, he wasn't on there. I think AD was on it. No, AD wasn't on there. Who the? Oh, Tyler Hero was on there. Yeah, a couple other guys. Couple white guys, I think. I can't remember who else was. I knew Tyler Hero was on it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find a TikTok. I'll tag it in the description.
You don't have permission to do that, so that would not be tagged in the description. But you can DM. They can DM you. Tell them where they find you.
Instagram, Matt Sprouse _24.
Twitter.
You ain't got one. I got one somewhere. I don't know the name of it though. I subtweeted one person in high school, so there's one out there. I don't know. What about you, D? How can they reach you?
They can reach me here on YouTube. Just leave it in the comment section. What would you like to see next? But yeah, you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram under KISHYZ, KISH_YZ. That stands for kicking in the second half. Yeah, YouTube here, KISHYZ. Find us on Spotify and Anchor.fm for the audio only versions of this podcast and our PPFs. Hugh, we got to do a PPF, bro. We haven't done one in a while. People usually like to see that. Our PPFs are past, present, future breakdowns of an individual NBA player. Those usually get a lot of clicks. I think people like to see what we have to talk about that. Or maybe they just like the thumbnails. I don't really know. I don't really get feedback. So if y'all want to leave some feedback, just put it in the comments. Hugh?
Hey, I gave you feedback one time and you didn't like it.
Your feedback doesn't count.
I commented on your shoes. Actually, a couple pairs of shoes you didn't like my feedback about. All right, sorry, I won't give feedback on shoes videos anymore.
I got a box right over there.
I see the Adidas, ain't it?
Yep.
Yep. All right, but yeah, thanks everybody for checking out this video. Let us know.
Hey, who told
in the
you to end this
comments.
video? Hey.
What?
Who told you to end it?
You just sitting there.
You're just sitting there.
If you
Bro,
let
hey,
us
please,
know.
I
in
want
the
to follow up.
comments.
Put in the comments if you're still watching this video. Are Cheez-Its flat goldfish? Yes or no? We're still having that debate over here.
No, they're not. But hey, put in the comments if y'all agree with us on these games, on these first round matchups, or if you see something different happening in the play-in, let us know. Or yeah, maybe we might
We're
have some
going to
people in
definitely hit
there.
this up again when it gets right down to the time. Hugh, we're going to have a crunch there, like a crunch time where we're just going to have to do the play-in tournament. And then right after the play-in tournament, the next day, the playoffs start, and we have to do the individual matchups on the East and West. We're going to be cramming that in.
Yeah, to the viewers, I will be on a little bit of a hiatus. The last week of May. I know it's like probably around the first.
Playoffs starting before then, bro. I could take care of the second round.
But no, it'll still be first round. You said they
Like I
start
said,
what,
if
the
you're not back,
21st or
I
something?
can take care of the second. Well, if there are potential sweeps and they're looking like there's some matchups, I can take care of the second round.
I was just giving the viewers a little information that during maybe the end of the first round and the start of the second round, I will be on a little hiatus. I will be on vacation. So yeah, I don't know. I might make a surprise appearance on an episode or two, depending on what I'm doing. But these will
Ain't
be
nobody
holding it
ask you
down
what you're
that
gonna be
week.
doing, bro. Hey, ain't nobody ask you all this questions, man. It's personal stuff. You going fishing?
I just said I'm taking
You
a
going fishing?
hiatus.
Oh, what are you, like Orlando Magic?
All right. All right. You give me outro. I'm done.
You done what? What's wrong with you? Whose man is this? Hey, shout out to your bud 36. Hey, we'd like to have you on here again as a special guest. Yeah, if you're listening to this part of the video, go check out your bud 36 on Twitch. YOURBUD 36. Did I say that right, Hubert? Probably. Your bud 36. Tomorrow or today, Tuesday. I don't know when I'm going to post this. I guess it'll be Tuesday when you watch this. So tonight, Tuesday, April 27th. Check out your bud on Twitch, and Hugh is going to be joining him for Retro Night. What are you going to be wearing for Retro Night, Hugh? You going to be rocking some NBA gear there? Hey, you better shout us out too.
Yeah, I ain't thought about it.
That's
we'll see.
What we get, people. No thought Hugh over there. And also, let's give a shout out to Micah for the Tavern Geek podcast. We did a KISH What If. Like to revisit that and do another one. Hey, Hugh, would you like to do a KISH What If with me sometimes or no?
Sure. Yeah, that could be fun.
We could do like a KISH What If. Anthony Davis and Karl Anthony Towns was in the top 10 of most handsome guys in the NBA.
Bro, that sounds doable.
And we also want to introduce a new video. Shout out to Cousin Fred, aka Cuz. Hopefully I get him on here at the end of the week. And we're looking at doing a new segment, which he introduced to me, and we came up with the name PTO. That's right, Hugh, you heard it right. PTO, Personal Takeover, where we take over a team and we talk about what we would do with that team from different standpoints. Could be as a president, as GM, owner, whatever the case may be. We'll dive into that and see what happens. So look out for that video on YouTube. That might be posted on Spotify and Anchor. We'll see how that goes as well for the audio only versions. But yeah, definitely keep it here for a podcast. Hugh, thanks again for joining us. Any last shout outs, last words? Throw it out there. Shout out to the biscuits you were eating. Who made them?
Don't worry about that. No. Yeah, probably. Honestly, yeah, probably. But
wait, you don't know who made your biscuits?
Bro,
did you just randomly pick up biscuits?
Nah, they were in the kitchen.
Who put them in your kitchen, bro? You have random people drop off biscuits in your kitchen?
It might have been. I didn't ask.
See, that's your problem, man. Hugh got sick over the weekend from eating a bad hot dog with the bug on it.
No, I did. I didn't.
Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe it wasn't that. He had COVID.
I didn't eat the hot dog with the bug on it. I ate the hot dog beside it. Then I ate the one hot dog. I went to eat the other one in the package because it's 2 in a pack. And then there's a dead bug on the other one. I didn't see it until I went to eat.
He still chose to eat the hot dog. That's just the
Well,
bottom line.
I didn't know. It was beforehand. Once I threw it away, once I saw it, I didn't eat no more. But yeah, I got sick.
Don't tell me you got to the last bite. You were like, hot dog,
oh.
hot dog, bug. Okay, I'm done.
Nah, I ain't touched that one. But yeah, shout out. Hey, from anybody who's watching this video to this point deserves a shout out. I'll tell you that, because this is, I don't even know where the hell we've been talking about the last 10 minutes, but
this is prime time right here. This is what the people come for. Forget the jargon about the NBA talk. This is the funny part at the end of the segment where people are like, what are these guys about? This is like, they're just cracking it up on here. Hugh's eating bad hot dogs. Just cover the bug. Hey, put in the comments, should Hugh have covered the bug in ketchup or mustard?
Oh my
and
God.
Just went to town on it. At that point, he ate enough where he got sick. Assuming that it wasn't anything else, it was definitely those hot dogs. You want to shout out where you got those hot dogs at and what time of the day it was?
Yeah, it was Sheets. It was
What
about
time?
9:30 p.m.
And those hot dogs were made at what time?
Probably like 4.
If not earlier, 4 a.m.
Might have been, man. Oh, hey. Sorry, I just looked up. Hey, hold on. I don't know if you know this. John Wall out the rest of the year.
Is
Sorry.
he being traded again?
No, it just says some injury. He said possibly out the rest of the year. Just thought I'd throw that out there. But no, yeah,
Oh man,
shout out.
the Rockets' chances of making the lottery have increased. Like, I mean, no. Let me look at it. I'm pulling it up for you. They already have their worst record. Hugh, what worse can happen is if they go to the lottery and they get the 5th pick. Do they even have their pick? I don't even know. We're gonna have to look into that. They're 15-46. They're currently on a 4-game losing streak. Hey,
Yeah,
shout out to my team,
shout
OKC.
out
We're on
Houston.
a 14-game losing streak.
Wow, congratulations. That's what happens
Hey,
when you sit
thanks,
down
bro.
Al Horford.
Huh?
That's what happens when you sit down Al Horford.
And that might be a piece that the Brooklyn Nets need to take up next year.
Well, I probably agree with that. They should have hopped on that beforehand.
Actually, you know what? I want to take that back. Golden State probably needs to hop on that.
Yeah. But yeah, shout out anybody for real watching the video to this point. This is just like it looks like we got a specific how long we got a podcast for, and we're just trying to fill that time right now, but we really don't. We're just talking. But yeah, so shout out all our viewers and subscribers. Like I said earlier, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more, you want to see shoes or debates or PPFs or anything else that we cover on this channel, give me a sub. Like I said earlier, no tomatoes, no veggies. Actually, to be honest, I can do with lettuce slightly, but not much. But yeah,
Hey, I would like to
not a
interrupt.
veggie guy.
If you wanna give him a sub, yeah, no veggies and no bugs.
Yeah, preferably. Appreciate that.
Preferably. But if it's
that's
on
a
there,
good.
he definitely will eat around it.
Yeah, I mean, depends where it's touched,
Hey, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up and put in the comments if you're still watching it at this point. And if you want to see us just, I don't know, do whatever this is, talk about this. All started with Cheez-Its when he was eating Cheez-Its a couple weeks ago, right before recording, in between of recording 2 podcasts back to back. So huge shout out to the Cheez-Its and the Goldfish. And Hugh, any new subscribers you want to shout out or people who should subscribe? We got to keep getting those numbers up. Once again, to support Limb Loss Awareness Month, we're going to donate $1 for every subscriber we have. If we go over 100, which we won't, Hugh's going to cover the rest of that tab.
My dad.
What about him?
Shout out my dad because he still ain't subbed yet.
Bro, whose fault is that? I don't know if that's more of your dad's fault or your fault.
Probably mine. What can you do though? He'll be subscribed. Don't worry. It might just be like July, but he'll be subscribed at some point.
That's terrible. Shout out to Hugh's dad, and shout out to Hugh for eating his dad's biscuits.
Yeah, he probably ain't gonna be happy about that.
AKA Don't Wig Daddy. Remember that, kids.
Oh,
Hugh, one last shout out. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
What was the episode about? We forgot.
It was about the standings in the East and
Freeze frame.
playoffs. Yeah, freeze frame. Shout out anybody whose favorite team is in the East and in the playoffs right now. Obviously, and then especially shout out the teams that are surprises. Like, well, I don't think there's many of them. I mean, the Knicks and the Wizards. Shout out the Knicks fans and the Wizards fans. Everybody else ain't really a surprise. Celtics are disappointing. Shout out KD. Sorry you having to deal with this, buddy. But yeah, Knicks and Wizards. Shout out if you're a fan of them. Shout out y'all. Should be happy with where y'all are at currently, I'd say.
Shout out to the Hawks fans too, bro, because the Hawks, man, making the playoffs, making a big leap here, holding down in the middle. And
Migos.
Who?
Migos.
Shout out to the Migos fans, apparently.
No, Offset, Quavo, Takeoff. Yeah, they are fans of Atlanta. And 21.
Yeah.
21.
Okay. We're not going to do this. We're not going to just shout out Atlanta rappers randomly on here. it's too soon for any of that. Probably never. Hugh,
Childish Gambino. I'm just joking. So I'm having a good time.
shout out to Dave Bird. Let's go, everybody, and I don't even know what to say on that note, Hugh, because you just kind of messed it up right there for me.
Dave Bird, isn't that Lil Dicky?
Yeah, shout out to Philly.
Oh Lord. All right, yeah. But hey, appreciate everybody watching this. Y'all have a blessed night.
All right, everybody, you heard it from Hugh. And make sure you subscribe and catch us on the next one. Thanks everybody for kicking in the second half. KISH YZ, peace and love.